Hi everybody, hope you all are doing well. My name is Saajid. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my birthday book haul where I'll be talking about all of the books that I got for my birthday. My birthday was January 5th, which was a week ago from now as I'm filming this. And I got 8 books for my birthday and I'm very excited to be sharing them with you all today. Well, not actually sharing, but just telling you what I got. These books are not for you, they're for me. The first book that I have here is Brave New Words, which was edited by Sushila Nasta and Ruxana Yasmin. This is a collection of essays written by a plethora of authors, all of whom are writing about the importance of the written word for marginalized people. There are essays in here by people like Kay Miller, Bernadine Evaristo, and Shivani Ramlochan, who I know personally. I actually bought this book through her, and she signed it for me. She signed her section, and it's called The Good Brown Girl, Questioning Obedience in Indo-Caribbean Women. So Shivani is from here in Trinidad, and she had an essay in this book. And when I heard that, I was like, sis, I need to buy that. So I'm really glad to have a copy of this in my hands, and I'm looking forward to getting around to it sometime soon. Maybe in a couple months. If you consider that sometime soon. The next book that I have here is A Silent Life by Raihan Shah. This was recommended to me by my friend Renuka because I was talking to her about wanting to read more books about Caribbean Muslims, and she's from Guyana, and she recommended this book, which is set in Guyana, and it's about a Indo-Guyanese Muslim family, particularly focusing on this young woman who's very fascinated by her grandmother. Her grandmother is an extremely silent person because something happened in her past to make her go silent, and the main protagonist starts to get visions almost in this fabulous sort of way of her grandmother's past, and through those visions she starts to build up a narrative of what happened and why her grandmother is the way that she is. It is a very compelling read. I already started reading it. I'm about 45 pages in, and the writing in here is very dense but gorgeous. It's one of those books where it's just a pleasure to sit down and just take in the words. And I'm enjoying the story a lot so far as well. And I had a meeting with my supervisor, and she mentioned that I should read this book, and I was like, I'm already reading this book, and she said that I should read the scholarship that was written about the book because it's kind of relevant to what I'm doing in school. So that's kind of fun, to be reading a book just for fun and then to find out that it could be beneficial to school. Oh, and I forgot to say that I got this because my aunt gave me some money to buy a book, and well, she didn't give me money to buy a book. She was like, buy yourself something nice, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy a book, and she was like, buy yourself something nice. Books are nice, I guess. The next 2 books I got because of my other aunt. She gave me a gift card to go to the bookstore, so I ended up picking up 2 books on the gift card. So the first one is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is a sci-fi, probably more so dystopian novel that was written back in the maybe 80s or 90s, and it imagines a future 2020s, so the early 20s, which is very interesting considering that it's now the early 20s, wherein climate change is now really affecting the world in a bad way, which I mean is not really far off from reality right now. The main protagonist has a condition called hyperempathy, where she can't help but feel this very intense, almost painful form of empathy for other people. It's a classic. It's by an author who's well known and well renowned in the speculative, wow, why did it take me so much effort to say that word? In the speculative community and in the Afrofuturism community when it comes to books. So I'm looking forward to reading this one and seeing what I think of it. The next book I got from the gift card was Map of Salt and Stars by Zain Jukadar. It's about a young Syrian girl, I believe, who's living in America, and her mother decides to move back to Syria when their father passes away to be closer to their family, but then while they're there, political instability happens, so they end up having to flee to go to other countries in the Middle East and North Africa, and it's following this one main protagonist, Noor's journey. Hopefully I like this one. The author has a new book coming out in May, and I definitely want to get to that. That's one of my most anticipated releases of the year, so I will be reading this hopefully before that so that I can move on to his second book. The next book that I have here is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This was bought for me by my brother. Well, he didn't buy it for me. I took his phone and took the liberty of buying a birthday gift via him for me. He knows, it's okay. He knows I didn't steal from him or anything like that. But The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky is a novella in the Montague siblings trilogy, I believe it's called. And it takes place between the events of the first and second book. I believe it definitely takes place after the events of the first book. But it's basically following Percy and Monty. It's kind of like an epilogue to their love story. I already read it, obviously, and it wasn't perfect by any means necessary, but I really loved what it had to say about the importance of communication and vulnerability and knowing your partner and trusting your partner and just enjoying not the actual act itself necessarily, but enjoying the company and the presence of the person that you really love. And that was a really nice message. The next 3 books are all books that I kind of just bought for myself. Happy birthday me. The first one is I Hope You Get This Message by Farah Naz Ritchie. This is a young adult pseudo sci-fi novel. I say pseudo sci-fi because it seems to be more of a contemporary setting with a sci-fi element. Essentially what happens is aliens send a message to Earth saying that we're going to obliterate y'all asses in a short amount of time, so just do what y'all have to do before we come and kill y'all asses off. So the 3 main protagonists are basically trying to make amends with their family and stuff like that, and the author is a Muslim author, and one of the main protagonists is Muslim. And y'all know once you say a book has a Muslim character, I will probably read it. So the next 2 books are both books that I am reading for projects, if you want to call it that. The first one I'm reading for Bashment Book Club, which is a Caribbean-based book club that I host with Paige and Linnell. We try to read a Caribbean book every few months and do a live show about it. So our book for January is Brother by David Chariandi. This is a contemporary novel set in Toronto, and it's about 2 Trinidadian Canadian brothers, or one of them and his brother. I'm not too sure what the story is about, but I've heard good things about it. David Chariandi is a well-known author, and I think this book delves into, like, you know, racism and classism in Toronto. At least that's the vibe that I get from the summary. Oh, and I also forgot to say that the live show for this one happens on February 2nd on my channel. And then the last book that I have here is Light at the Bottom of the World by London Shah. This is probably the book that I'm most excited to read. This is another sci-fi novel that is also written by a Muslim author, and I'm reading this for the Iqra Trials. If you don't know what the Iqra Trials is, it's a read-along that was created by Tahira from Sincerely Tahiri. Every month she's hosting a different theme or prompt where you have to read books by Muslim authors that fit that theme or prompt, and the theme for January is science fiction and fantasy by Muslim authors. At the end of every month she's doing a live show where she talks about the books that she read that month, and she's inviting a fellow Muslim book reviewer in each live show to talk about the books that they read as well. And I'm actually excited to announce that I will be the first co-host. I will be on the first live show discussing this book with her. I think she's reading We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal, and that's what I really love about this read along, is that you don't have to read the same book. It's not like a book club. You just read books that fit the theme, and then you come to the live show and you talk about it, and you don't even have to read anything. You could just come to the live show and talk about Muslim representation with regards to the theme that you're reading around. I will leave Tahira's announcement video in the cards for y'all to check out. The live show happens on February 1st. Right, so A Light at the Bottom of the World is a sci-fi novel, a young adult sci-fi novel set in a futuristic London, wherein London has now sunk underwater and everybody lives in this big dome. I believe it's set at the end of 2099, so it's about to turn into the new century, and there is this submarine race that happens every year wherein people like race submarines, I guess, in the water or something. So, and the main protagonist enters to be a part of that race, and I believe in doing so she ends up finding out some unsettling truths about the society that she lives in, like every other sci-fi dystopian YA story. Really looking forward to this. I believe it's the first in a series, but nevertheless I am super duper excited to jump into this one. But yeah, that's it. Those are all of the books that I got for my birthday. I'm super duper happy. In the comments down below, I'd love to know if you've read any of these books, if you have any thoughts on them. All of that being said, thank you all ever so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.